Thank you, Chairman. We're now live on YouTube again.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. And I'll say welcome back to any member of the public who have been waiting for this moment as we move into public session for the rest of today's items. I will, however, ask Jeanette to take a roll call, please, to record those members that are present, appreciating that we have had a break. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. If members could indicate they are present. Councillor Alison Austin.
Present.
Councillor George Corner.
Present.
Councillor Anton Danny.
Present.
Councillor Andorian sends her apologies for this part of the meeting. Councillor Frank Pickett. Councillor Pickett.
Yeah, present. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Councillor Peter Watson.
Present.
And Mr. Alan Pickering, lay member.
Present.
And the officers, we have the Section 151 officer, Adrian Sibley. Thank you. Mark Surridge from Mazars, the external auditor.
Yes, I'm here.
John Scott, internal audit manager.
Present.
Thank you. And Paul Berry, principal audit manager. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We will move to item 2, which is the Audit Strategy Memorandum, year ending 31st of March 2020, pages 7 to 42, which is a report by Mazars, and I will hand over to whoever is taking this item forward, please.
Yes, thank you. That'll be myself, Chair.
Ah, Mr. Surridge, thank you very much. I see you there now. Thank you very much. Take it away, Mr. Surridge.
No problem, thank you. So what you have is the Audit Strategy Memorandum setting out the key work we intend to pursue as part of the financial audit and value for money conclusion work for the current financial year. I will take the report as read, but I will highlight to you as a committee a certain number of pages that I think is particularly important to bring to your attention. The first is on page 16 of your pack. So this is section 3. This sets out the audit scope, approach and timeline. What I'd like to bring to your attention here is that we receive ongoing and complete support from the finance team and officers of the council, which is very helpful. That has brought us to this place where we're able to produce this audit plan. We're having ongoing conversations about the key matters and key issues arising. What members may be aware of is because of the ongoing impact of COVID through the year, the authority has the ability to produce its financial statements in a slightly extended timeline for this year. That allows the authority to produce accounts through to the 31st of July. And the audit opinion or the publication of accounts is due for the end of September this year. I can also confirm to you as a committee that we have secured and appropriately booked the correct skill mix and staffing mix in order to deliver to this timeline. The next area I would like to draw to your attention is page 20 of the pack. Page 20 of the pack is section 4 of our report and sets out the significant risks and other key judgment areas that inform our work on the authority's financial statements for this year. What we have set out on this page are 4 specific audit risks. And I will confirm to you that 3 of those risks are consistent with the prior year. And they are also consistent with the work that we do at the majority of local authorities. And that's important because it's these are matters that are not so specific to you as a council that requires an additional level of scrutiny. The risks are the management override of controls. That is an audit risk prescribed in auditing standards. It is prevalent in every single audit that we perform, whether that's on a local authority, an NHS organisation, or a corporate entity. It's a requirement in the auditing standards. The second is on the valuation and the carrying value of the pension liability in your financial statements. That pension liability is made up of share of assets and liabilities. It is a complex judgment and complex suite of estimates, and therefore, with the use of a valuer and an actuarial expert, requires specific audit attention. The third area of focus is on the valuation of land and buildings. Again, these are large values in the financial statements. They require the use of an expert valuation from usually qualified through the Chartered Institute of Surveyors. They also involve estimates and judgments that need to be made, and therefore it's appropriate we spend some additional time. All of those risks were in the previous year plan. For this year, however, there is a new audit risk that we believe warrants some additional attention, and that is related to the additional grants that have come through from the government to reflect COVID-19. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that the accounting for those requires a level of judgment over whether or not some of those will be recognised in the accounts. Some may not. In addition, there's some judgments that may need to be made in terms of how much of the grant income can be recognised in the year. And that depends on the specific terms and conditions that sit within the grant. And therefore, what you have is a situation with a level of judgments that are required on things that are new. And therefore, we believe it's appropriate to spend that additional bit of audit effort to look through them. The last area that I want to draw your attention to is section 5 of our report. It talks about the value for money conclusion. Specifically, I would draw your attention to page 27 of the pack. Now, page 27 sets out the key criteria under the value for money conclusion for 2020-21. Last year, the Code of Audit Practice, which is the overarching governance document that describes and sets out the work that we do, changed the work and the scope of the value for money conclusion. In order to deliver that work, we rely on what's called auditor guidance notes issued by the National Audit Office. Some of those guidance notes only came out very late last year, and we're expecting some more to come out in the next few weeks. So that puts us in slightly behind where we would normally be in performing our work. But what's most important for you as a committee is that we explain what the criteria upon which we'll be performing our work are. Now, this year, we look at 3 specific areas. We look at financial sustainability, how you as an authority plan and manage your resources. We look at governance, how you make informed decisions and manage your risks. And lastly, we look at how you improve value for money using information about costs and performance. Those are all new areas for us to look at, and therefore there's a significant amount of time and effort that we have to go through in order to make sure we address and document our work and our conclusions fully. The other new element that comes as a result of this is that we will be producing what's called a commentary report. Now, that report will be made public and be issued in the public domain, and it will comment on all of these arrangements that the authority has in place. So again, what that does is that increases the amount of inherent risk and ensuring that our reports must be of the highest caliber and the highest quality, and therefore requires that additional levels of effort that we need to do, as well as taking all of the support and ensuring we engage fully with management in order to get to that point. I don't propose on going through any other aspects of the report. I will be happy to take questions. It just leaves me to say that one thing I must always confirm is that we have performed our independence and ethics checks, and we can confirm that we are and continue to be independent and objective and able to deliver the audit for 2020-21. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Do members of the committee have any questions that they'd like to raise on this report, please? I think you've done a sufficiently thorough job as to answer the questions that members might well have had. In which case, I would ask do we need to take a vote on any of this, or is this just for noting?
It's just for noting, Chairman.
Thank you. It will be interesting to see the work in progress on the COVID grants and the COVID element of what you're doing, given that that's something new and not something that we've got anything to benchmark against in previous years. But I think it's a incredibly valuable piece of work that you're going to do there, given the amount of money that the council has handled as part of this process. So I think I look forward to seeing that as it goes through. And thank you once again, Mr. Surridge, for both the report and your presentation here this evening.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 3, which is the annual governance statement for 2019 to 20, and the section 151 officer of combined assurance and status report, which is page 43 to 60. And I'll hand over to Mr. Scott, who I understand is going to present this item for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So this is our combined assurance report for 2021. The combined assurance piece of work that we do identifies sources of assurance across management, corporate and third party, internal audit and external audit, and we try and bring those assurances together and look across all the services of the council. The report also helps feed into our internal audit planning for 21-22, and the report also contributes to your work around the annual governance statement. Just turning to page 45, you can see that there's been some changes from the RAG assurances, the red, amber, green assurances, from previous years to current year. So there has been a slight increase in ambers and a slight decrease in green assurance. This is actually more consistent, I think, probably with other local authorities that we review, and it is not of any particular concern. And obviously we've had a year with COVID and also the introduction of the new alliance, which has also had impacts. There's a short summary there from the Chief Executive, which just again reiterates the impact of the strategic alliance and improvements that will be coming forward from that. On page 49 onwards, the report is split down into the different areas of the council based on at assistant director level. And those assistant directors have provided a summary narrative for their areas with, I think, particular focus on any ambers or reds, and that continues through for the full report. I wasn't going to go into any further detail. I was assuming that the report's been read, but I'm happy to take any questions, or if the section 151 officer wants to make any additional comments, happy to.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. Mr. Sibley.
No, I'm happy with that, Chair. I'm happy for what John said. I've nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Austin, please.
Oh, I am unmuted. Right, thank you. Just a couple of things concerned me. One was on page 49, a lack of visibility of contracts across the Alliance. Lack of contracts is always worrying. And if there's any comment on that. And the other thing that, again, these are probably internal details really for the borough itself. And certainly I'm a little bit concerned about inaccuracies of what the borough thinks about the number of rough sleepers in Boston and the real number of rough sleepers. Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. Mr. Surridge. Mr. Scott, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'll just have a look at the the project and the programme contract management one. I think there was just a concern there that I know that each authority has. I know that Boston has a contract register, and I think that concern was just around, obviously, with the Alliance, just making sure that there is that sort of shared visibility across the Alliance. I will just bear with me a sec. I'm just going to check. Yeah, that's the high level information I've got at the moment. I can get some more information for you on that one if needed.
And
sorry,
I expect the bit about my concern about rough sleeper numbers really isn't your domain. It's just that it's something that is perhaps one of the things I've got to be in my bonnet about.
Could I just ask what section of the report the council is referring to, so I can just cross-reference that?
No, it's just. I'm sorry, I've just shut the meeting paper. I think. Look, I think I'll withdraw that question and ask it of the appropriate officers, because it just refers to. I'm sorry, I've totally lost the page as we were on 49 or something.
If you want to email me your question tomorrow, Councillor, then I'll pick the an officer if that's okay.
Yeah, it was.
Page 52,
risks to do with housing, and as that was a red one, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll have to look that back up again now. I'm sorry, it's been a long meeting now, and I got it marked, but I've lost it. So I'm sorry.
No worries at all, Councillor Austin. Mr. Pickering, please.
Thank you, Chair. Two things. First of all, a very well laid out and readable report, so thank you for that. It's very helpful. Probably my problem with not being more involved in other areas of council work. I have two questions. The first one is, could you tell me what PCIDSS is, please, on page 51?
That stands for the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Right, thank you, that makes sense. And ROPA on page 50, which is work to document the ROPA is behind target due to COVID impacts. That is the basically the council's asset register, for information asset register. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Noble.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I was just waiting to make sure no members of the committee had questions. Yes, it's going back to page 49, just a question for Mr. Scott. This is in the third paragraph in the green oblong column, and it says the alliance with the LDC has gone some way to increasing resilience in services, but this doesn't fully address the issue the council faces, particularly in regard to HR, human resources and ICT services. Is Mr. Scott of the opinion that the agreement we have with PSPS won't satisfactorily address that particular issue, that is human resources and ICT services? Because I think for most councils that was one of the compelling reasons why they supported by majority the PSPS deal.
Through you, Chair, I don't believe that's the case. I think that wording is. Let me just reread that wording.
If I may just interrupt there, these are the words of the assistant director in that area, and what they go on to say in the following paragraph is that the move over to PSPS should give the additional resilience that's required. So hopefully that will give Councillor Noble some assurance.
Thank you. I don't think we can really drill too far down into the what's written in the green box, particularly with Mr. Scott, as he hasn't written. If I'm right in thinking, you're not responsible for that explanation behind it.
No, we've through you, Chair. Yeah, we've obviously helped support this process and undertaken work with the assistant directors in terms of identifying both sort of red, amber and green areas. The narrative is the narrative from the assistant director. But obviously we're aware of the detail, or some of the detail behind that, but we haven't actually written the actual report.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you very much. The only thing that I picked up on was on page 56, which again, I appreciate we're probably straying into an element that you might not be able to assist with, and it comes down to the assistant director, and that's on assets. Sorry, at page 57, not page 56, I think. Yes, we have the Princess Royal Sports Arena down as a red, but apart from in the title of land and property, including Princess Royal Sports Arena, there isn't actually any commentary on why the Princess Royal Sports Arena is down as a red. I don't know if anyone could help with that. Councillor Noble is waving furiously at me.
I am. Yes, thank you, Chair. It's because they haven't paid any rent. Also, last time I spoke to the relevant officers, they hadn't paid any rent for ages, and even going back before that, they'd never paid the requisite amount of rent. So that's why it's
okay. Thank you, Councillor Noble. That does clear that makes sense now. Reading what I do in the green box. Thank you very much for that. I don't see anyone else indicating to come in on this. I'm assuming Councillor Austin, please.
Thank you. Sorry, it's bad practice to come back again. Now that you, Chair, have talked about the Princess Royal Sports Arena, I've just written in, what about COVID income? Which presumably, although it can't function as a sports centre at the moment, it is being compensated in some way for being a mass vaccination centre. Any comment?
I come in, Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Sibley.
Yeah, it is getting funding for that. However, it has experienced a significant downturn in income, as you say, this year. The level of income that external leisure companies are enjoying is less than what local authority run leisure authorities are enjoying. So they are under some financial pressure this year, which is the main reason behind why they've been unable to pay their rent this year. So yes, they are getting some income from being a COVID centre, but it's not enough. Those are their words, not mine, I should say.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting actually on page 56 to see just how much of the ambers there are being impacted by, or have been impacted by, COVID. But hopefully, as the year goes on, next year might be able to be a slightly rosier picture for those. I'm assuming this is again just for noting, and we're not required to vote on anything. So if the committee is content, then I'm happy to regard that as noted, and thank Mr. Scott for his report, and again taking us through it this evening and answering the questions that members have had. With your leave, I will move on to item 4, which is the internal audit progress report, and that's pages 61 to 76. And again, I'll hand over once again to Mr. Scott, please, to present the report.
Thank you for that, Chair. So we're drawing to the close of the audit year 2021. We have one summary report to report to you, which was some work that we did around the COVID assessment, which was mainly looking at the impact on the risk and controller environment. And this received substantial assurance. I'm pleased to say broadly that there were no significant impacts. In terms of the wider plan, we are at final or draft report stage on the remaining work, and we just have to finish off a piece of governance, risk and fraud. All the other pieces of work are at the draft report stage, or have been finalised and are at the final report stage, but unfortunately just missed the reporting deadlines for this committee. In terms of, so we are looking to complete the plan by the end of the year, or just within 1 or 2 weeks of April. Just to note, on page 71, in terms of the audit recommendations, members will note that a number of those recommendations are due to be completed or have been extended to March 2021 or just after. The chief executive has requested to all assistant directors to try and ensure as far as possible that those agreed actions are implemented by the year end, and we'll be doing a further follow-up of all those recommendations shortly, which will feed into our annual internal audit report, and members will get a further update on those in May. So happy to take any questions on the progress report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. Do members have any points that they wish to raise on the report that's before you? I'd say that obviously, as you say, there are a couple of items that might have made it to this committee, but they will come to us in that will be completed in time for the May meeting, and possibly 1 or 2 others. So it's good to see that as work in progress, it's on track and at the right point where it needs to be for this part at this time of year. I don't see any members indicating that they wish to speak. So once again, I'm happy to take this if the committee are, as noted. And once again, thank you, Mr. Scott, for the report, which takes us neatly onwards to item 5, which is the draft internal audit plan, which is again for 21-22, which is pages 77 to 90. And again, I will invite Mr. Scott to pick up on that, please.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, so this is our draft internal audit plan 21-22. It's been through the senior leadership team. Obviously, as part of the planning, we undertake an audit risk assessment, and which is also informed through by the work that we did on combined assurance. Due to the strategic alliance and the PSPS partnership, we're working closely with our colleagues, East Lindsey District Council, We are part of Assurance Lincolnshire internal audit, and Assurance Lincolnshire currently undertake the internal audit of East Lindsey District Council. So because of the close ties in terms of the alliance, you'll see that quite a number of the audits are the same or similar as those with East Lindsey, and will be undertaken separately but jointly. East Lindsey have got a lot of similar audits within their plan as well, as we thought that in 21-22 it was better to try and align the plans as far as we could do. In the plan, we cover areas such as financial governance, governance and risk, critical activities, project assurance, ICT, follow-up, and again, combined assurance. And the audit resource remains at 145 days for 21-22. So happy to take any questions on the plan for 21-22.
Thank you very much. Do members have any points that they wish to raise or questions that they wish to ask? Seeing no one indicating, again, I think this is it's a very straightforward report which members are familiar with. Those of you that have sat on A&G for the last few years, and again, look forward to monitoring this as work in progress as it goes forward. I'm very happy to take this as noted if committee are content to do so. Thank you. Once again, Mr. Scott, thank you for presenting the report and being available to answer any questions that members might have had. And thank you for your contribution to the work of the committee, and particularly your contribution for this evening. Appreciating that that's the third of your 3 items on our agenda tonight, so just to say thank you for that. That takes us neatly on to item 6, which is the work programme for the coming year, which is on page 91 of our agenda. And we have one more meeting left in this municipal year by the looks of things. Can I just confirm with Jeanette whether the 24th of May will be before or after the next annual meeting, the annual meeting of the council?
It's actually after the scheduled date for the AGM, Chairman, which is the 17th of May. I'm not sure if that that date might change, but at the moment, yes. That meeting will be in the next municipal year.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. 24th of May, then we may or may not be hearing doing in the form that we are. Do members have any comments that they wish to make on the work programme for the 24th of May? Is there anything that you'd like to see adding in there, appreciating of course that it is quite a full agenda once again? Mr. Sibley, is there anything that you'd like to add on that part of the work programme? I'm assuming it will be for the committee after the annual meeting of the council to determine the work programme thereafter.
Yes, that's correct, Chair. What I will do for the next meeting is produce a full agenda for the rest of the year, but there's nothing further I can add to May's meeting at this stage.
Thank you very much.
Useful though, Chair. Just thinking out loud, Chair. If there are any issues which members of the committee would like to put on the agenda for next year, if they could email me them, I can incorporate them into the schedule.
Thank you very much. I don't see anyone indicating to speak, so again, I'm very happy to note the work programme, and depending on whether the annual meeting of the council takes place as scheduled, this may I would and that being the last item on our agenda this evening, I would thank all members of the Audit and Governance Committee for their contribution during our current municipal year that's been a little bit short, given that we had the mini AGM in what seemed to be quite a long while ago, but I'm pretty sure it was September or October time. And thank you very much for the support that you have given to the audit and government process, and for being a fantastic committee to work with. As I said at the beginning, thank you, Councillor Corner, for agreeing to step forward as vice chairman. And if the annual meeting of the council is on the 17th of May, that will be quite a short tenure as a vice chairman, depending on, of course, the outcome of that meeting. So thank you very much for all of your contribution tonight. I think we had a fantastic presentation from AEW earlier, and I genuinely believe that the some of that presentation, the information that we were able to receive in our job as gaining the reassurances that we require on behalf of the council, were enhanced by doing that in private session. I know we don't like to do any more in private session than we're absolutely forced to do, but occasionally when it's commercially sensitive, really for the benefit of people who might have been watching on YouTube, it is essential that we do that to get the scrutiny that we need. So that brings us, I think, to the end of our meeting this evening, and I will declare the meeting formally closed, and once again thank you for your contributions, and wish you an enjoyable rest of the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.